Knowing your why. Now, we're talking obviously about passing the exam, getting your license, but this is where we have to start. This question of why barbering for me, it motivated me to study. I constantly was reminding myself why becoming a professional licensed barber was so important to my life. Why this is important? Because if you don't have a why, if it's not that important to you, there's not much on the line. You ain't going to study, let's be honest. But at some point in time, the why has to click. It has to be something that's really important to you. Something has to be like, listen, I need to do this. I can't imagine my life without doing this. Like for me, it was, I love cutting hair. I love chopping it up with my clients. I love making people feel good. I love the freedom that barbering comes. I could be my own boss. I could be my own business, right? I love that. I love that I have something that people need. Right now during quarantine, this is crazy. The other day, the wedding industry is getting rocked right now. And I do a lot of wedding cuts. A lot of people call me for just schedule the groom, like, day of or day before. And this bride who was a friend of mine, she texted me the day of her wedding. This is like 2 weeks ago. She was like, yo, my dad needs a cut, like ASAP. He just showed up. I just saw him and he's not looking good. He can't be looking like this for the wedding, for the photos. And I was like, for sure, like, just, we can make it happen. So we made it happen. I love having a service that people need so that even on their wedding day, one of the most important days of their life, they decide to call me. Like, you called me of all people. I love having a service that I can offer people. And they left and they were like, thank you so much. You saved us. And I'm sure you guys have heard that before. But anyways, my why is, it's so important so that in the moments when I'm like, man, I don't want to study, man, I don't want to grind, man, I don't want to do this, you have to remind yourself of why you're doing this in the first place. Remind yourself of your family, remind yourself of your kids, remind yourself, of whatever you got to remind yourself to motivate you. And if it's not that important though, that's going to be a big problem. It's going to be a big problem for you. Point number 2. So now that you know your why, now I want to talk about Googling it. So I want to show you the 2 websites, nictesting.org and barbercosmo.ca.gov. I found the NIC study guide 2 weeks before my exam date. I was so mad, but also relieved. And I was mad because I was like, I wish I had Googled it at 0 hours. I wish someone told me about it at 0 hours. So let me break this down. Do you guys know who the NIC is? Sorry, the National Interstate Council of Cosmetology and Barbering. Basically, they're the dudes who designed the test. And their goal is to get their test into every single state in the US. All right. Guess how many states use the NIC's exam? 36. Now, the NIC, they offer a bunch of resources. They offer 2 study guides. They offer a written exam study guide and they offer a practical exam study guide. There's 60 questions on the test. What will be a passing grade? 75%. What does that mean? You can miss 12 questions. 10 of the questions of the 60, they don't count. They're experimental questions. So what the NIC is doing is they're just trying to figure out, hey, let's throw this test question out there. Let's see how they respond. Let's see if how do they respond? And then they want to decide, is this a good question? We want to put it on future tests or do we not? All that to say is there's really 50 questions that count. So if you really got 50, you can miss 12 questions and 38 out of 50 would be 75%. Now, why this is important is because when you're taking the written exam, when I learned this 2 weeks before my exam, I was like, oh, snap. Okay. So I can miss 12. Now, when I'm taking the exam and I'm going through the questions, I'm like, okay, how many are giving me a hard time? And right, you're taking it on the computer. And when you're going through the 60 questions, you could skip a question and come back to it. You could actually flag it. My goal is just like, all right, listen, if I'm guessing on 12, I actually could still pass. Because I think people freak out when they're in it. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't know the answer to this question. That's okay. You actually don't need to know 12. You could guess on it and still have a good chance of passing. Okay, cool. So welcome to the National Interstate Council of State Boards of Cosmetology. If you want to fact check me on some things I said, under the about us section, let's see. Yeah, about us. If you go to, is it the NIC member jurisdictions? Yeah, there you go. So right here, this is a map of the US. Like I said, 36 states. You can see it in green. Green equals currently utilizing the NIC, National Interstate, right? Using those exams. Other things you want to learn about them is they have the candidate information bulletins. Now, if you're wondering, you know, do I have everything I need to study? If you click on this references section right here, it's when they're writing their exam, where are they getting their information from? Why is this important? It's important because sometimes I think people are like, do I have the right book? And the answer is yes. If you got any of these books, you're in good shape. Because that's what they're quoting. That's what they're going off of. Again, I just want to give you some confidence. Now, that's important because if you're going to walk into your exam and you're like, you're not confident in your studying, that will affect your mind. And if your mind will affect your performance. So I'm telling you now, you can have 100% confidence in your textbook. It is going to do what it needs to do to get you ready. Again, once you become a professional and you get your license, this is our homepage. This is the community that we're a part of. I encourage you guys to even subscribe to the emails now, so you guys can even get that information, up-to-date information as they send things out. They don't send things out all the time, but this is where you're going to get the main hub from the state board. Why is that important? That's the governing agency for our industry, and it's just good to know what they're saying, you know, get to know their policies and all those things. Now, from here, I just want to show you guys under the exam information. Go to, when you're going to take your exam, you come here, click home, and there's a ton of stuff here, a ton of stuff. You got under the exam information, the applications is going to be here. What I want to focus on, though, is this candidate information bulletins, because this is where these study guides live. All right. So in here, this is the practical examination and the written examination outline. So maybe you guys are familiar with this one. Hopefully you guys have seen these. If not, that's why I'm here. This is the practical examination. This is it. They read this word for word. Okay. Starting at down here, that's all the introduction and stuff like that. It gives you the information of, you know, what do you need to come, what are the things that you need to bring into your exam, etc. Now, here is an outline essentially of the test. So now when you come down, literally this is what it is, the proctor, right? Proctor's verbal instructions, they'll read this all candidates. This is their quotes. They'll read it through once, then they're going to repeat it. They'll read it through again. Like, this is it. I'll mention too, at the Fairfield one I went to, you have one proctor that's in the room. I had like 8 examiners. We each had our own little station. It was like 3 on one side and like 5 on the other. We were facing each other and we each had our little station, right? And there was one proctor with an iPad and he was coming around and he was watching us as we were doing our thing. So that's kind of the space of what it even looks like. This is the practical exam. I don't want to focus on the practical exam because it actually has a higher pass rate than the written. So I'm actually not as concerned about the practical. I'm more concerned about the written because it has about a 50% average pass rate right now, which is crazy because it's like, look to your left, one of you is going to pass. In this written study guide, this is it. This is what I found, and this is real. So the Barber theory examination content outline is literally here. It's 2 pages. It tells you exactly what's going to be on the test. 35% of the questions are going to be on scientific concepts, right? Scroll down. 10% will be on implements and equipment. 40% are on hair care services. 15% are on facial hair and skin care services. Say is just open up your book, open up the table of contents is what I did. And I was just like, okay, infection control safety practices. I wrote, okay, whatever chapter it is. So anyways, this is where it's at. You can download this just by hovering over and you just click that button right there and it will download and you can save it to your phone. You could have it on you wherever you're at. Super helpful. You can do that for the other one as well. I found out about this page 2 weeks before my exam. And I was like, yo, I could have been checking things off the list for 1,500 hours. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been helpful. It would have given me confidence. And again, this is about confidence. Because if you're confident walking in and you're like, I did the work, I know exactly what's going to be on this test, again, that's going to affect your mentality, and that mentality is going to affect your performance. Now, I wanted to even mention something about the pass rates and stuff. It's all public information, right? I'm literally, you see me clicking around. When you click the About Us and you click quarterly statistical reports, I can actually look at the reports of our industry. If you think I'm, BSing you, just look at it. It will tell you within this quarter, right? They break it down quarterly. So it tells you exactly what the the pass rates of every single license. So you can see for us, the practical examination, there are 700 in quarter one, 750 people passed the practical out of 1,103. 353 people didn't pass. Okay. The written exam for quarter one, 681 people passed, 771 people failed. All right. 1452. That's more than 50%. Okay. Go to the next one, second quarter, again, about a 50%. Third quarter, about 50%. Fourth quarter, it was a little higher. We did better. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because you don't want to trust the other people in the room. The reality is that if I'm in this room and there's 8 people in here, there's 3 people in here who are going to fail. And I ain't going to watch you. I ain't going to pay attention to you. So that's important because I remember being in the practical exam and I was like looking at the guy doing a shave and I was like, yo, he just messed up like bad. Like he's traveling around with his, razor wide open, his blades wide open. That's a safety hazard. You're missing points. He's not wiping the blade off after every single stroke. I'm like, dog, you missing points, bro. Right? I looked to my left and another person was taking it. And when she's doing her prep for the shave, she sticks her finger into the shave gel. Her finger. And I'm like, yo, that's unsanitary. You need to use a popsicle stick or something that's sanitary to pull that out. I'm like, you just missed points. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I realized pretty quickly when I was looking around, I was like, yo, I actually think a lot of these people are going to fail. And so when I saw it, I was like, I just focused on myself. I'm like, I'm going to trust my education. I'm going to do my thing. And I'm not even going to pay attention to nobody. For the written exam, I'll say this. I sat down. We have 90 minutes to take the exam. 90 minutes. A dude was in there and was done in 10 minutes. I was like, bro, you just spent 1,500 hours and you just spent 10 minutes on this test. Like either you super confident or you're stupid. You're dumb. Because there's a 50% pass rate. And sure enough, 3 out of the 8 of us that took the exam passed. Now, I'm not saying that this is what happens to everybody, but that was my experience. There were people who I saw get up real quick. They finished their written exam real quick, and they didn't pass. I'm like, yo, they give you 90 minutes. Use the whole time. And there's that feeling that you might get inside of you when you're like, dude, they're done. Oh, they're smarter than me. Oh, they must have studied more than me. They finished in 10 minutes. But in that, for me, I was like, dude, honestly, I can't trust that. Like 50% in here, that's a coin flip. Maybe he's not going to pass. I'm just going to focus on myself, right? I'm not even going to trip about that. I'm here to do my thing and to stay focused, okay? You can access all these things. It's just go on and Google exactly the search that I just did.